What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and today I wanted to talk about the Nintendo Switch LITE hate that I've been seeing. It's not all hate, but there's been some weird things being said about this device, what Nintendo's done in the past, and kind of where we're going in the future. And I wanted to kind of address those things in addition to talking about the Nintendo Switch LITE and why I think it's a great idea that benefits all Nintendo Switch users, whether it's users right now at this point or future users. This is a good thing for everybody involved if you're a Nintendo fan or if you want to see Nintendo do well with the Switch platform. And then I also wanted to talk about this 3DS to 2DS revisionist history that's going on, because I see a number of people either making videos or talking about this on Twitter trying to dictate to me, somebody who actually covered the 3DS back when it was first being marketed and released. I have videos dating back to all the way to about like a year or so, or even within the year of the Nintendo 3DS being released. So I remember the marketing, I remember the promotional material, I remember what Nintendo was talking about at E3s, and we have a lot of people who don't remember that stuff trying to dictate what Nintendo did and what Nintendo marketed with that system in order to justify why they don't like the Nintendo Switch LITE. And I want to inform people, like, you can't just revise history in terms of what Nintendo did with that system. So we're going to talk about that as well and kind of get down what actually happened and how it compares pretty much almost exactly to the Nintendo Switch LITE. So let's first get into the Nintendo Switch LITE hate, because I think that there's a lot of people that are actually super excited about it, and you're seeing people talk about it, and there are people that are very happy, but there's also quite a number of articles that I've seen, videos talk about how the Nintendo Switch is like this horrible thing and nobody should get it and it shouldn't exist for some reason, even though it's just another option. And I really don't understand this viewpoint, because what they've done with the Nintendo Switch LITE is kind of like what they've done with previous systems before, whether it's the Nintendo 3DS, the 2DS, which we'll talk about that in just a bit in terms of what went down. But they've done this before, where they remove one of the key features within their system in order to make it cheaper. Now, the Nintendo Switch LITE, it does remove some of the cool features of the Nintendo Switch. For example, being able to dock it and play on the TV, being able to have HD Rumble, the IR. There's some cool things that are removed, but they've also added a D-pad to it. Hopefully they fix some of the Joy-Con drifting issues, because it's just a built-in controller at this point. So hopefully all of that gets fixed, but the D-pad is cool as well. They do have a better battery life on there for portable play. And really what this device is aimed for, it's not aimed for the people who want to switch back and forth. What it's aimed for people who want to play Switch games. More so than anything, with the branding of a system, your system is only as strong as its games. And that's the biggest thing that I see people complaining about, that it's not switching back and forth. It does not matter. It's about the Switch games. That's what makes or breaks your system. Cool gimmicks like switching back and forth are good, and I'm saying gimmicks in a good way. Those are awesome, and those can help sell a system, but without Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, without Super Mario Odyssey, without Mario plus Rabbids, without all of the great games that are coming over to Nintendo Switch, whether it be Pokemon or whatever the case is, all the big selling games, all the third-party games that we've gotten so far, without all the great titles that people have been playing and enjoying, stuff like Splatoon 2, for example, ARMS, Xenoblade Chronicles, Torna, without all of that, you don't have a Switch. All you have is a system that can be played on the go with no good games, or be played at home with no good games. Switch's brand is its great games as well, more so than anything else. And I think that's what some people aren't understanding with it. I get it, people are into gimmicks and that's how they hook people, but at the same time, Switch is a brand. So them changing the name or suggesting that it should be called something else because it doesn't switch like it used to with the Nintendo Switch LITE, it doesn't switch like the regular flagship Switch, is absolutely ridiculous. And nobody with any ounce of marketing sense would name it something different because it plays Switch games. You still go to the store and buy games on there for the Nintendo Switch. Naming it something different would be ridiculous. Now, another thing that I want to talk about here is providing an option for people who don't care about the Switch aspect, because that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand with this too. Yes, there's a large number of people who play, who switch back and forth and who do all that, but there is a equally almost as large number of people who only play in one way, who only play docked, or who only play portable mode. And especially in Japan, there is a growing number, and even more, that just play in handheld mode. So if you're a business, or heck, if you're just someone who doesn't care about the switching aspect, who doesn't care about the Joy-Cons, who doesn't care about a lot of the stuff that we've already seen when it comes to like HD Rumble and all this stuff, then why wouldn't wouldn't a cheaper option, if you don't want to play on your TV, why wouldn't a cheaper option be good for you if you're looking to get into The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, if you're looking to get into Super Mario Odyssey, you're looking to get into Fire Emblem, or any of these cool games that are coming out? Why wouldn't a $100 cheaper option be the good one for you if you don't care about playing on the TV? And heck, I've even seen a number of people who play PS4 or Xbox One, and they don't want to quite spend $300 on a Switch, but at $200 and just playing lying down in bed, or when they're out on business trips or whatever the case is, that's a good option for them instead of spending $300 and paying for features that they're not going to use. So the $100 cheaper option is going to be good for a lot of people. Now, I can understand some more of the hate if this was priced like, let's say $250, then it's like, man, it's only $50 more and you get all the other stuff, but it's $100 cheaper. For many people, that could be a couple games, that could be a bunch of indie games, that can be a memory card. That money could be spent on something else. And for some people, it might seem insignificant, but for a lot of other people, $100 is a lot of money when it comes down to what they're going to spend their money on with video games and tech. And if they don't have a large budget left over, or if you're a child and you're asking for this is something that you don't spend your own money, then the cheaper option, if you're not going to play on the TV, is going to be a good option. When I look at the Nintendo Switch Lite, I see it as a great option for children. One, it's cheaper, so if anything happens to it, well, it's a cheaper system, so that's okay. But also too, it looks like it's a lot more durable too, because you don't have the movable parts. You don't have some of the other aspects of it when it comes to the delicacies of the Nintendo Switch. You don't have the docking aspect to where it can get scratched up kind of going into the dock. You don't have any of that. You just have a block system like a Game Boy Advance, for example, or like a 2DS, the original 2DS. It's just a system right there. So to me, just getting the screen protector and a case is a lot better for a child, because with the screen protector and a case, that's going to help them out as well. So I'd rather spend $200 if I'm buying something for my daughter, because I do have a little girl. I'm not buying a $300 Switch. I'm going to buy a Switch Lite for her, and she can just play in handheld mode. She doesn't have to hook it up to the TV because she has her own screen there. It's just like a cell phone or something like that, or a tablet, for example. I don't see kids hooking up tablets to their TVs and switching back and forth. So a video game system doesn't have to be like that either. And kids love tablets and they love cell phone games. So the Nintendo Switch Lite is kind of meant to penetrate into that market. Now let's talk a little bit more about the Nintendo Switch Lite when it comes to the aspect of, for all Nintendo Switch fans, is this good? Is this bad? And I see a lot of people saying that this is bad, but no, this is actually a good thing, because the Nintendo Switch Lite is going to drastically increase the install base of the Nintendo Switch, and increasing the install base of the Nintendo Switch is vital to getting more games on the Nintendo Switch. If the Nintendo Switch wasn't selling the way that it was selling, we wouldn't probably have gotten a lot of the third-party games that we're seeing from Bandai Namco, even some stuff from Square Enix. Developers are going to the platform because they see the great sales. If you look at the Wii U did not get great sales, so therefore it did not get a lot of games after its initial rush of games that Nintendo paid for or helped co-market. It didn't get a lot of games after that, whereas the Nintendo Switch has gotten a steady flow of first-party and third-party games, and also Western games as well, with stuff like The Witcher, Doom, Skyrim, Wolfenstein. All of those games have came over. Heck, even some games that aren't on PS4 and Xbox One that are the bigger style games like Civilization, for example. So if you're looking at it from the full scope of things, it's selling what it's sold so far has benefited everybody. Now, for those that are saying this is a horrible idea and all this stuff like that, why would you not think that a cheaper model that's going to get more people onto the Switch brand, which in turn gets more developers to make games for the Switch, why is that a bad thing? Why is that such like a, oh my gosh, this is stupid, this is dumb? This is great for all Switch owners. If you're somebody who already has a Switch, then that's cool. You don't have to buy it. If you're someone who wants the cheaper option, you have a cheaper option for you. If you're a developer, more people are going to buy the Switch now because it's an already popular system that's getting a cheaper option. That's always a good thing. There's no bad thing when it comes to cheaper options, because it's going to raise the install base and get more developers interested in the platform and get more games on there and get more money into the Switch ecosystem, so we can get more stuff. So I only see this as a positive when it comes to the gamer side of things. It's just going to get more people playing Switch and more developers interested in the platform. So that's another reason why I don't see why this hate makes sense. It doesn't make sense at all. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. But if you're a Switch gamer, which a lot of these people are Switch gamers that are complaining and hating on this, then I think the attitude should be like, you know what, it's not for me, but at the same time, time, this is going to get a lot more people to buy the Nintendo Switch. In turn, is going to get a lot more developers to come onto the platform. So it's not a negative there in any regards. And we've seen this time and time again before, guys, when it comes to platforms. The more the platform sells, the more the developers are interested in it. And that's the number one thing that developers told me when I went to E3 and asked them why they didn't develop on the Wii U. It was sales. There was other things, but the system just didn't sell enough. So this is a good thing more so than anything. So let's go ahead and move on to the last topic here, guys. I'm going to talk about this 3DS to 2DS revisionist history that's going on. We have a number of people that are trying to claim that the 3DS to 2DS wasn't a major or dramatic change from what Nintendo did from the original marketing to what they did with the 2DS. So the 3DS and what they marketed to the 2DS, though there wasn't that big of a change. It's pretty much the same thing, blah, blah, blah. No, that is not the case. As somebody who covered that back then and looked at the E3s and saw what Nintendo doing, Nintendo was marketing the 3DS as this amazing glasses-less 3D, no glasses experience to go head to head with what Sony was doing with the 3D TVs and their glasses on the PlayStation 3. This is facts. Nintendo was actually the first no glasses 3D device in the world, and that's what they were touting. They had promotional materials showing off like Iwata-san like running, kind of going through and doing all this stuff in 3D, and they were really pushing the 3D aspect of the 3DS and why you need to buy it, why it was $250 at launch was because of that 3D, and that was their justification, was because of the 3D tech in there and no glasses. There was no other device on the market like it, and that's what Nintendo was pushing. 3D, 3D, 3D. This is why you want to buy it. And then Nintendo said, oh, well, you know what? It doesn't need to be 3D at all. And they went with the 2DS. So they completely changed the whole gimmick and core aspect of what the 3DS was and what they marketed it as, to say, all right, well, this is just no 3D, and they call it a 2DS. It's like, no, duh, if it's not in 3D, it's in 2D. But they were in a marketing bind because they had to, change the name at least, because that was the whole thing with it. It was all just based on that. But the 2DS still plays 3DS games, and that's the reason why the 2DS was successful. That's the reason why they ended up making a new Nintendo 2DS, which was a little bit bigger, more sleek, all of that. It was one of those things to where, yeah, it doesn't have the 3D aspect, but at the same time, it's all about the games. Just like the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch LITE, it doesn't have the switching, it doesn't have the main gimmick that they were putting on there, but it still has the games. And that's what's important at the end of the day, is what games you can play. With the Nintendo 3DS to the 2DS, the 3DS and the new Nintendo 3DS, and the 2DS and the new Nintendo 2DS, they all at one point can play the same games. They have the same library of games. It's all about 3DS titles that you can play that are great on the system. And that's essentially what the Switch to Switch LITE is. Yes, the main marketing aspect was ripped away, but they've already done that. They did it in order to make it cheaper with the 2DS, and they're doing the same thing with the Nintendo Switch LITE. Nintendo was blasting 3D in our faces, so they stripped out the complete major gimmick of the 3DS and what made it so expensive at the beginning to make it 2D, no 3D at all, and to make it cheaper. The design and everything didn't even have the clamshell at the beginning. It was like a cheese wedge, so they changed the design. It wasn't even a real dual screen. All it was one screen that was separated by like a plastic barrier or anything. So they completely changed up so many different things. So when I see people trying to talk about the 3DS to the 2DS as if Nintendo didn't market that huge gimmick and that was what the system was based around when it came to what they were pushing, I'm sorry, that's just not true at all. And once again, guys, the 3DS and the 2DS, depending on what model you get, they all share the same library. Just like the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch LITE, they all share the same library. Developers didn't have to do anything different when it comes to the 3DS versus the 2DS. It was still the same system, same dev kit, same architecture and everything. They just didn't have that one core feature that Nintendo was pushing from there. So same thing with the Nintendo Switch LITE. So hopefully everybody understands with this here now that we kind of got that out when it comes down to it. And what do you guys think when it comes to the Nintendo Switch LITE and some of the talk around? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.